Good morning from the UK. Welcome. Bonjour. That's British for hello for people who don't realize. This is one of the planned segments for the politics stream on Saturday. Now I want to straight up talk about this. It's fucked up shit. I wanted to talk about this on Saturday, but more evidence has come out. Now, I want to preface this by saying something very important. I am not a journalist. The closest I've gotten any journalism is I have some education background in creative nonfiction, which teaches you some of the ethics of journalism. Now, what it doesn't teach you is the practice of journalism. And the practice of journalism includes knowing how to verify sources. I have no fucking idea how to verify a source. So all I have to do is everything I'm about to say is with the grain of salt that I have no fucking idea how to verify a source. I am relying on experts I am reading from to put together evidence. I would not make this stream / video if I didn't believe there was something reasonable here. Let's get to it. Let's talk evidence. I'm going to start with the evidence I saw first, I think. I'm going to start with what I saw a couple days ago that to me was a little compelling. This is something I saw the other day, right? It was looking into the records of Roberto Grijalva. And it turns out people were able to pinpoint that Roberto Grijalva was, in fact, at the time that this 4chan post happened, a lieutenant at the prison where Epstein was housed. And this post was posted, this actually made the rounds when Epstein first died, we're going to put air quotes around that now. This made the rounds. So, yeah, not saying anything after this. Please do not try to dox me. But last night at 04:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke with him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not release on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. So he was moved around by nurses, none of the attendants, none of the orders, hung himself, was put to a single man cell he wasn't supposed to be in. The trip van did not sign in. We did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, which is not normal. If someone kills themselves, you would expect, by the way, paramedics. I've looked into this a little bit. From what I can tell, when people die in prisons, they still get paramedics, not military. So just in case anyone's wondering about that. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. So this person is suspecting, based off the evidence they have and based off the subpoena, they appear to be a lieutenant in the prison where Epstein was housed. They are suspecting that he got switched out for a double. Now, people are saying this sounds conspiratorial and insane. And what I think people don't realize is the rich and powerful have always lived in a different world than us, where all of the spy shit that's just in movies for us, because in our daily lives, no one's gonna pretend to kill somebody and swap them out for a lookalike. That doesn't happen. But for rich and powerful people, that shit has happened through all of human history. That is not unreasonable to imagine to happen. The speculation was that he switched with Hillary Clinton's brother, Tony Rodham, who passed away 2 months ago. I couldn't tell you what happened with the details. What I know is this 4chan post came out before Epstein's death was announced. It made the news back in 2019, but it wasn't big news because as far as we know, people on 4chan can say whatever, and sometimes they guess shit. So this didn't really mean anything. However, now we have a subpoena from the FBI that confirms more or less, and again, I'm not a journalist, I don't know how to confirm this for sure, but from what experts are saying, seems to confirm that this 4chan poster was very likely Roberto Grijalva, who was a lieutenant at the prison at the time. That's on its own really fucking huge, because it means all this shit being said is being said by someone who does know this shit and is actually scared, and the FBI subpoenaed him about it. So that's pretty big on its own. Now I'm going to show you the thing that made me make this, and I'm not joking. I was browsing Reddit late this night and saw Wenda's a weird Reddit. Their vibe is often shitty and judgmental and rude, but boy howdy if they don't tell you Wenda. Some journalists checked out Epstein's Fortnite account history to see activities in 2024. What does that mean? I'll bring it up on screen. What I found looking in the comments, from what I can tell, yes, these appear to be people legitimately doing independent investigative journalism. So this first one was a post again on X. Yeah, if journalists aren't going to do it, we got to rely on this person on X. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein's alive. In the Epstein files, there's a receipt from YouTube where his username is little. Okay, now here's the thing. The pervy shitty option is it's littlest Jeff 1, which if it's littlest Jeff, I fucking hate that. If it's Little Saint Jeff 1, which I think it is, I have to be honest, Little Saint Jeff is such a good username for Jeffrey Epstein. So there's a receipt from YouTube where his username is Little Saint Jeff. If you search this account on Fortnite tracker, why is that a thing? You can see there is an account with that name, and the Epstein files show he purchased V-Bucks. So he actually purchased V-Bucks with this, according to the files themselves. FBI files confirmed to be true. This motherfucker bought V-Bucks as Little Saint Jeff. The crazy part is his profile shows he is ranked silver 1 in chapter 5, season 1. That was the 2023-2024 winter season of Fortnite. So in theory, somebody has used Jeffrey Epstein's Little Saint Jeff account in the 2023-2024 winter season. Now, this could just be one of the Mossad fuckers or CIA agents he sold shit to. This could be Ghislaine Maxwell. But it's not, according to the next evidence we're going to get to. I don't know why anyone would use his Fortnite account. That feels insane to me. To play devil's advocate, anyone could have the name... no. Brain crab. No. The name Little Saint Jeff, I think you missed the part where I read that the Epstein files confirmed that that is his username, and he used it to buy V-Bucks in the past, proving he previously played Fortnite. Like... Little Saint Jeff isn't the part that's crazy. The part that's crazy is that username already existed on Fortnite. That Google account was already on Fortnite buying V-Bucks according to the Epstein files. That's not made up. It's not supposition that this was his account. This was his account according to his emails released in the Epstein files. Like, that's not the conspiratorial part. The conspiratorial part's putting that together. That's just factual evidence that this is his account. So then... somebody, after it became publicly known that his account was findable on Fortnite Facts or whatever the fuck what was it called? I don't play Fortnite. I don't know the shit. Fortnite Tracker. After it was public that Fortnite Tracker was able to see his account, somebody found that his account logged in specifically from Israel. That matters, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Not just because he was a Mossad informant, because he was also a CIA agent informant and a KGB informant. It appears, none of this is confirmed, but the Epstein files make it implied that he had connections with Mossad, CIA, and the KGB. Isreal impossible? So for people who don't know this, I'm going to get to why Isreal matters here. Because this is actually pretty fucking important. A lot of people don't realize that Isreal has had a long-standing tradition of this shit. How Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. This isn't new. This is from 2020, about when Epstein died, like just after. So this is early February 2020. This is a nice long article about how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. It is a widespread problem. More than 60 Jewish US pedophiles. And again, I'm putting Jewish here, not to be like, it's a conspiracy, the Jews are no, fuck that. There's pedophiles of all creeds and colors. The humans are fucked up. That's how it is. The reason Jewish matters is because Israel has particular forgiveness plans, because raising their population is very important to them. They do everything in their power to bring in more people. And because they believe in dual citizenship, by nature of being Jewish, where you are always considered an Israeli citizen, they will give amnesty to you if you are a criminal as a way of bolstering their numbers. Me bringing up Jewish is just because that's the type of people Israel brings in, not because there's a unique evil of Jewish pedophiles. The 60 pedophiles that had fled by 2020 happen to be Jewish because it's Israel, not... You get what you understand. If anyone uses my words for anti-Semitism, I'll... Tip of the iceberg, how foreign sex offenders find refuge in Israel. I didn't pay for this one, but it kind of points out that even in the Israel news, they're talking about this. I wanted to bring that part up because I think it is pretty relevant to understand that, like, Israel doesn't have a problem ethically with hiding out they're pedophiles. As I understand it, if this evidence is true, let's briefly go through devil's advocate. Let's say all of this evidence is true, right? So it seems to be more than likely that the guy who made that 4chan post did work in the prison as a lieutenant. So like that's middle management, right? In military order, I think. As a lieutenant in the prison, if he and he seems to be confirmed, said that, there is very little to gain and a lot to lose for saying what he said. I can't think of a deep state reason. You can think of the deep state idea of like, oh yeah, they let someone post this to create suspicion. In what does suspicion benefit you? Like, what does us suspecting that he was protected by the government, like that doesn't do any positive. It's not like with 9/11 where you could say, oh yeah, the conspiracism makes us seem all powerful, so we love the conspiracy. Like that's something people say. That was the fucking South Park line. I can think of truly no benefit to the government doing that intentionally, to telling him to do it. So if he actually posted that, something suspicious happened with Epstein right before he killed himself. There were suspicious people, they weren't following orders. The best way you could read into that, if he wasn't like smuggled out, is they wanted him to kill himself. They threatened him to do so. There was blackmail, a threat. They let him kill himself. That's been my read on all the suspicious shit that happened in the prison, is he likely killed himself, but it was at threat. It wasn't choosing to kill himself. Now, the military van coming to pick him up, that's a bit weird. That's a bit odd. I don't think that's normal, but it's not unthinkable that you would, if you're getting this very powerful, wealthy person to kill himself, why not have weird officials involved? I don't know. That feels fine. You combine that with the Fortnite evidence, and it gets shockingly compelling, though, right? Like, the Fortnite evidence does something to it. So, we know for a fact that that is Jeffrey Epstein's, Little Saint Jeff is Jeffrey Epstein's account. I am struggling to think of a reason why someone in Israel would be playing Fortnite with Little Saint Jeff. Hey there, this is Drawk of tomorrow, the day after that late night stream. I got two more little pieces of, I don't even want to call it evidence, but they're funny enough that I actually want to record something to add this onto the video. So let's talk about this thing I saw also on the When the Reddit, which apparently I guess is where you find out about conspiracies these days. And I use the word conspiracy because let's be honest, this whole Epstein is alive thing, even if I believe in it, is conspiratorial thinking. It's really only the position of power that these people are in, and the fact that, like, this type of insane shit does happen throughout history with people in this kind of position of power and authority. And already we're dealing with the Shadow Emperor, who is behind the scenes, pulling the strings of the Western world from Pedophile Island. Like, there being a body swap is more believable than 90% of what we now know to be true. And more believable than 100% of what we suspect to be true based off the files. But it is still conspiratorial. I don't put a lot of stock in this as proof, but I do put a lot of stock in this as funny enough that we kind of got to look at it. So let's go through the When the post, and then we'll look at something else. Okay. Bro posted on Reddit, but it was removed. So apparently, a random Greek fisherman posted about seeing Epstein in 2020. In 2025. So yeah, there was this guy in True Off My Chest. He said he was a Greek fisherman in a remote village, who saw Jeffrey Epstein boarding a boat. People said it seemed fake, but people looking into it were like, no, this does actually make sense, even though through the internet, you can't really find out about these islands and villages. Like, they're so tiny that they're off the map. He also claimed to be writing through Google Translate. And when people checked what happens when you write his message in Greek and then Google Translate it, it does come out with this sort of grammar. So at the very least, this is likely by a person who's knowledgeable about this area in Greece. And he claims he saw women wearing tuxedos. It piqued their interest because it was very strange. I'm going to read from his perspective now. So me and my friend wanted to talk to them, but when we started walking towards that area of the dock, we saw him, Jeffrey Epstein, the man we saw so often on the news. He had a big beard, but he was wearing a coronavirus mask on his chin, and he was walking with so he was wearing it like the chin diaper, because that's why they could tell who it was. And he was walking with a tall man in a vest that people use on safari. That I find interesting. A safari vest, like, it makes me think of Mossad, obviously, but conspiratorial thinking. They're most likely, if he is alive, who's housing him. So, of course, my mind goes there. That vest could be any number of things. Who knows? Me and my friend recognized him and we were scared. So we stopped and pretended not to recognize him and left. I've been talking about this a lot with my family and friends over the last month. And after seeing pictures of him, I 100% believe it was him. My uncle enjoys fishing, and he said once he saw this boat heading towards the island of Stamfany. That's all I know. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't use any other social media besides Instagram, so I don't know where to tell this story until someone suggested it so I could tell my story. I don't speak English, so I use Google Translate. And apparently, the islands he mentions, I don't see the rest of the post. This is obviously the screenshot missed a bit of it, and this was taken down. We don't know also if this was taken down by the mods of the subreddit, because they just didn't think it was true, which would break their policies. Obviously, if something's called true off my chest, you don't want lies, or if it was taken down by Reddit itself. If we could find that out, obviously, that is a big difference in how seriously we would take this. But as is, at the very least, this is someone with a complex knowledge of this niche area in Greece, who speaks Greek most likely. So that's the most we can give this. And then I'll show you the other one before I talk about how I want to read into this and why I think it's worth talking about. Oh, wait. Oh, we got him. All right. So I was in this TikTok. Let's play it, and then we're going to talk about what to do with all this.
Who's this guy? They spotted him in Tel Aviv a couple days ago. Had a lot of security around him. Looks familiar.
So I'm going to talk through a bit about what we do with this kind of information and where I want people to go. It's still funny. It's still funny though. Let's get this post and let's get this man up on screen, right? All right. Let's not get crazy everybody doing Elvis sightings here. This is realistically not evidence. Jeffrey Epstein is a pretty normal ass looking man. There's a fuck ton of people in the world. There's going to be a lot of people who look like Jeffrey Epstein. In my opinion, the actual facts that we have, knowing that he had this Google account, that it bought V-Bucks before, seeing the Fortnite activity, the sign in from Tel Aviv to make it private, that shit to me feels somewhat compelling. I feel like we can look at that because that's kind of hard facts that, while they can be explained by other methods, are real evidence. The issue is, this man, we don't know if he's telling the truth. It's really easy to just say things. And even if he is telling the truth, he could have just seen a guy that looked like Epstein and was also a rich dude who had weird women in tuxedos or whatever bullshit, right? To me, this could be Epstein. This could not be, but it's not evidence. Here's what this is. This from the fisherman is enough in line with what we know to be true if he's alive, right? The evidence pointing to him being kept alive in Tel Aviv, that I think it's reasonable to assume that if Epstein's alive, this fisherman was telling the truth. And I think that tells us something important about that if scenario. So, provided that both of these are true, that both he's alive in Israel and that the fisherman is honest and did see what he says he saw, that would inform us that it isn't as a prisoner entirely. Epstein is being protected and allowed some level of freedom. That's kind of what we'd see, right? Now, what do we make of the second one? Again, that looks like Jeffrey Epstein with sunglasses and a beard for sure. That's the same nose shape. That's the same mouth shape. I think that looks like him, but he's wearing sunglasses. There are probably a lot of older dudes in Israel who have a similar nose and mouth to Jeffrey Epstein, right? Like, not like, obviously race as we understand it is kind of bullshit, but there are two primary ethnic lineages of Jewish people, and obviously people from a shared ethnic lineage are more likely to have similar facial features. So this could just be a guy who can afford security and has a similar nose and mouth. So I don't actually think we should look at this as evidence. I don't think this should be seen as like, hey, look, we saw Jeffrey Epstein, because like every time a public figure vanishes, that's how people react. What I do think we can do is say, let's say this is Jeffrey Epstein, right? That would tell us something kind of fucking crazy. So let's look at that if scenario. If it were Jeffrey Epstein, the information you could gather from this is that Israel is allowing him enough freedom that he was just out in public, and the assumption was that with a beard and glasses, he wouldn't be recognized. And that kind of only came into question because of the recent suspicion that he might be alive. So, my read on that is if Jeffrey Epstein is alive, there's a decent chance this picture that the TikToker shared is actually him, and that they've been allowing him some level of freedom up until now, and that's probably going to get locked down because of posts like this. That's a lot of big ifs. My opinion is, I think if the evidence we have right now, mentioned earlier in the video, is true, I still believe Jeffrey Epstein's more likely alive than not, even though it's obviously not guaranteed, and that is contingent on the evidence being true. If it is true, if I am correct that he's still alive, I am inclined to believe the fisherman. The reason I'm inclined to believe it is an island village so small that it's basically not known of would be the type of place that in Subterfuge they would land with security to gather resources, buy whatever they need, get fresh water, just like, because I've been on boats before, and no matter how rich you are, you need fresh water, right? Money doesn't make your boat store more fresh water when you leave. I know they are saying that Greece is a flight from Israel. I feel like it would be seen as safer to avoid urban centers with Epstein and just take the boat out of Israel right to Greece. And if you're going for that kind of boat trip on a vacation and they're letting him do that, you're going to need fresh water, and going on an island like that, it just makes sense to me. The dude up top, I don't know. That could be Epstein, that could not be, but I really don't think it should be looked at as evidence. But I think it is fine to look at these as ifs, to think about what information we can gain from them if they are true and correct. That is a mental exercise that I don't think is risky, but I just want to caution people if they see shit like this from being like, this is evidence. It's just too easy to lie from. This is just something to expand our thinking in the broad umbrella of if this is true. Either way, it's so fucking funny to imagine that this bastard is so dumb and cocky that even after people start suspecting he's alive again, he's just walking around Tel Aviv, no care in the world. Like, that is funny enough to me that I think it's worth talking about. And it really checks out with what we've seen from this type of person, right? Andrew Tate, the human trafficker, gets caught in Romania because of fucking pizza boxes. How fitting would it be to be in the similar vibe of Jeffrey Epstein getting caught because of Fortnite, stopping by a fishing village, and just like walking around Tel Aviv and assuming no one's going to recognize him? I think that is a funny enough narrative that it's worth kind of spending time in and thinking about the world's worst monster playing Fortnite and walking around and being like, I'm a genius and no one's going to figure this out. Because I think that's the story to me that's interesting here, is how much rich people see us common folk, us normal people who live in regular ass homes and have regular ass lives and regular ass jobs, how much they see us as not worth considering. What's the word I'm looking for? Beneath consideration. That's the part that I think is interesting, because they own the FBI, right? These wealthy people at this point own all of these institutions. It's really just random ass people and reporters and shit looking into this that's kind of built the collage that we can from that say, oh shit, this man might be alive. And that's why it's fitting for me that he would underestimate these Greek fishermen villages, that he would underestimate just the people walking around Tel Aviv and not think any of them were capable of noticing his grand machinations. Anyways, that's all. Little addendum. That was 12 minutes. I thought it'd be 10 minutes. Okay. Back to the end of the video. I don't know how I closed it out. I think we have two scenarios that to me feel equally likely, and I want you to dwell on them, because the confirmation of there being suspicious shit going on at the prison and that 4chan post was from a lieutenant, that tells us that our two most likely scenarios are he was either murdered or they threatened him and got him to take his own life, And that's why they maneuvered him into a position where he was capable of right when all these errors happened. It's very suspicious. And now that we know that a real source said that, and there's no real benefit for the government leaking that or suggesting that, I think the two likely options are they swapped him out or they gave him room to kill himself. And then the fact that his account was signed into in the country most likely to harbor him, like genuinely most likely to harbor him. I can think of no other nation more likely to willingly harbor Jeffrey Epstein than Israel. Like, there truly isn't another option. The fact that it is the country most likely to harbor Jeffrey Epstein that his Fortnite account logged in from is really fucking suspicious. I don't like it. I don't love that. It's bad. But the word I would use for it is bad. The fact that it's the country most likely to harbor him that it was logged into is very suspicious, but he is a wealthy Jewish man with deep, deep ties to Israel. One thing I'm going to talk about Saturday is that he's who introduced Palantir to Israel, which is really fucked up and has caused just insane amounts of harm. He has deep ties to Israel politically, so there's a non-zero chance he'd have family there. So we have to imagine that the other possibility, other than him being smuggled to Israel, is that they either killed him or set up his death, and he happens to have family in Israel who are using his Fortnite account for some fucking reason. Knowing that fake deaths have happened in the history politically, I genuinely believe the more likely option is that Jeffrey Epstein's still alive. I don't like that. I don't like it, but can you tell me that in your heart, when you look at this evidence, that doesn't feel like the more likely solution? It's a possibility that I haven't talked about. Israel has insane abilities when it comes to hacking and spying. Of course, they have access to his gaming accounts. You raised such a good point, and I hadn't thought about that. Israel could have logged in to shut it down so you couldn't get more information. What do we make of this? So let's lay out the actual evidence that we have that's real facts. Then we'll do suppositions, and then we can go a little crazy, okay? Okay, so real fact. I gotta add lithium grease to my chair because it's getting squeaky. Little Saint Jeff 1 is Jeffy Boy. Okay? Little Saint Jeff 1 played Fortnite after Jeff died. We know that the 4chan post did come out then. We know Little Saint Jeff 1 was used for Fortnite while J-Dog was alive. That's something we know. Okay. Israel protects pedos. Israel protects pedos. We know that for a fact, motherfuckers. Okay. We can add more facts later, but I want to go into, like, supposition, like, evidence towards. Evidence towards, okay? We have evidence. The prison did some sus shit. Can I make a fake fact section with Jeff Epstein's not cracked? You know what? Yes, I will make fake facts. Fake facts, but if since they're facts, we got to put them in the positive. So, okay. J-Rock was good at Fortnite. That's a fake fact because we had evidence, but it was posted like yesterday by an account that has never posted before. So it's just someone playing on all this hype, on all this mania. The prison did sus shit. We have evidence towards, because why would the government post that? And it was from a real lieutenant. Speaking of, the 4chan poster was likely a prison lieutenant. It's called alternate facts. Fair enough. Okay. Little Saint Jeff 1 played Fortnite. It played in 2023-2024 season. How long is the missing time in the cell footage now? Like 5 minutes? I think it ended up being even more than that, but I don't remember for sure. I haven't watched the Voidzilla on in a while. Dude, watch Voidzilla. You want scam shit? That guy rules. Okay, we're on a side quest though. We're on a great side quest though. Yeah, Voidzilla would never, because he would want hard evidence. And frankly, I'm willing to accept this as fucking evidence to shape my worldview. Just not as fact. It'll shape my worldview as a likely opinion, not as fact. There's an eat your cake and have it joke too. Unabomber, dead, not dead, billionaires, let them eat cake. There's something there. The tech YouTuber Christopher Yee tried to activate it and it worked. Okay, you can activate Windows 7 with Jeffrey Epstein's product key, which was shown in a photo. Wait. But can you activate it multiple times? Did they give him like an endless key? Did they give him like the super key? Did they give him ultimate Windows Unlimited? I thought keys were like not Windows Unlimited. I thought they were Windows Limited. Is just everybody got Windows now? That's funny. Fuck, man. Little Saint Jeff 1 played old Windows had it was an old one. I forgot Windows used to be base. All right, Little Saint Jeff. Okay. Little Saint Jeff 1 logged in from Isreal. I'm putting this as evidence towards, because I can't confirm the source, and because you can use VPNs to shut account onto to shut account private. We can just put shut account, right? That's fine. That is fucking funny. I love that we can steal Windows from Jeffrey Epstein. Odd to user, you lied to me. You said we'd have one viewer. Okay. Is there any other facts we need to consider here? Let me put through what I think from this. I see two most likely outcomes. When I sort this, if the evidence toward side is true, let's play in the space where we imagine that this side is true. Because right now, again, this is all suspicious and likely true. There is evidence towards it, but any of this could turn out to be false, and we would need to adjust our worldviews. But we're going to pretend that we can be certain. If we could be certain about this, and we say that we can be certain that this isn't true, we just pretend we know he's bad at Fortnite. I see the two likely outcomes as either Trump arranged for him to not be killed. There was a dead man switch in the Epstein files. Basically, it was set up so that if Jeff was killed, his constituents had blackmail packages that would go live to destabilize the world. This is also likely why Biden did not pursue him legally. Didn't pursue opening the case. There was a dead man switch enabled that was going to destabilize the world with piles of blackmail. That meant that Trump needed to play nice and set up for him to go to Israel. Because he had worked very patiently for Mossad, he had many Mossad connections, Israel gave him leniency if he would continue to act as a backdoor blackmail dealer for them. He then kept playing Fortnite because he got bored hanging out in secrecy. Playing Fortnite one day, he then found out, oh fuck, they can see me playing Fortnite. And he logged in and quickly shut himself to private, not realizing people would see that he did that. That is likely outcome 1. Likely outcome 2, if all this is correct, and again, our worldview has to adjust if it's not, is Donald Trump decided Epstein had to die. The blackmailers who likely set up the dead man switch were negotiated with and decided to let Epstein die. And as long as they were protected, they would hold the switch and not pull the plug. They made an agreement and told Epstein, hey, we're going to kill Ghislaine and whoever else you care about, your brother. We kill people. We'll kill them if you don't Minecraft yourself. They move him to the independent cell. He Minecrafts himself, and his assets are under Mossad control. I know that, the Tony Rodham thing, I'll look into it. Your assets are under Mossad control. Mossad realizes, fuck, we need to shut all of his shit offline because people are going to get evidence we don't want them to get. In this timeline, he's dead anyways, but Mossad has access to his digital information and is trying to prevent people from using it. In my opinion, when I consider these options, I don't suspect Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't have a dead man switch. It doesn't make sense to me that Jeffrey Epstein would not have a dead man switch, but both account for it sort of. Because in the second one, we do get the option of the dead man switch holders agreeing that Jeff's a dead end, we can't be tied to him anymore, and switching who they're going to work for. That does happen. That could happen in high stakes things like this. I genuinely see it as more likely, especially with how hard we know Bannon worked on rehabilitating his image, and Bannon was the power player in the Trump admin at the time. Like, Bannon put real fucking effort into rehabilitating Jeff. That was a big goal of his. His buddy J-Rock, he wanted him in the big leagues. He put work into that. So I feel as though, personally, it is more likely that they just didn't kill him. That he just got shuttled out of the country. He's been hiding in Israel, pulling the strings behind the scenes. There is several bits of evidence in the Epstein files that suggest his account and his networks were still operating in a similar structure after he left, not from a human trafficking perspective, but from a, like, information handling perspective. None of it's definitive. I've looked into a few people who do investigative shit like Voidzilla talk about it, and it does seem like his accounts were still moving afterwards. Granted, that could still be Mossad in a range of his accounts. We don't know. Could be the CIA. Who the fuck knows? We don't really have facts. But I do genuinely believe that the more likely of those two scenarios that seem most likely right now is that Jeffrey Epstein's still alive. That he's fucking hanging out in Israel, playing Fortnite, getting his ass kicked by 12-year-olds. That's my belief. I think that's how this lines up best. We don't know, obviously, and if I find out I'm wrong, I won't be shocked, but it's kind of hard to prove. All right, we're going to look into Tony Rodham, because apparently there's a conspiracy theory that Tony Rodham looked enough like Epstein and was beaten into shape. Guys, he only looked like Epstein young. When he died, he was fat. Like, not super fat. Like, oh no, he's not that fat. His face is just fat. I don't know, man. I don't think... Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I'm looking at a picture of Tony Rodham. The conspiracists being like, no, they used him for Epstein and they just kept his body on ice. I think that's crazy. Guys, like, I think they'd probably just, if they found a double, they just, like, had a guy pre-picked who looked a lot like Epstein, who looks like a pretty generic white man, and they just, like, why use another famous dude? That's crazy. Like, if I'm doing a conspiracy where I'm going to replace a dead guy with another dead guy, I'm not going to use another famous guy. I'm going to use just some guy I pre-picked that looks like him. Like, in my opinion, Trump's a little harder because he looks very specific. But in my opinion, they likely have just common, regular dudes picked out for most of the cabinet. You know that there's, like, a Stephen Miller copy pre-selected for if Miller bites it or if they need to shuttle him out of the country or whatever. Like that, they got that prepared. It's mainly the ears and nose that match the death photo. Yeah, but, like, I don't know, man. It just, why use another famous dude? Like, what benefit is there to it? Because, like, okay, to me, here's why I think this is a dead end theory. It could be true. But what about it being true is more compelling than they just found some dude who looked like Epstein, right? Because, like, could they do it to stunt on us and be extra mean to Hillary? Totally, they could. I wouldn't put it past them. But there's nothing more compelling about that logically than they just found some old man that looked like Epstein and murked him. Like, the Epstein files report incidents of them murdering, like, babies and shit. There's that woman on a nearby island screaming they're eating humans, right? That people thought was crazy, but now they're like, whoa, what if? Um, like, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I just, could they have used Hillary's brother? Absolutely. But I think it is equally like far more likely actually that they just found some guy. I don't think a fake death needs another famous person to work is all. Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought. So this is the evidence that we have it so far. We got Fortnite, we got Lil St. Jeff, we got absolutely cracked Fortnite footage. That's so funny that someone made an account. That shook me for a second. I was off this whole thing. I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't his Google account. I forgot you could just change your YouTube name to be different than your Google name. That's on me. That's on me. Little cursor, get that off my face. Wherever I leave it, it puts a little bit of green from the green screen. All right. All right, we went for 43 minutes. I thought I'd only be on for half an hour. That's the gist of it. I just fucking needed to talk about it because holy fuck. Non-zero chance Jeffrey Epstein's alive. Late nights. Guys, what do you think? What do you feel in your instincts? What do you feel is more likely between the two options? Do you think they had him killed, his dead man switch was shut off, they had alternatives, and his estate and digital information is being handled by intelligence agencies? Or do you think it's more likely that because of his blackmail and dead man switch, he was saved? Honestly, if he was killed under Trump 2, I would assume he died. But genuinely, his best friend Bannon being the main guy in Trump's admin at the time, that's the big thing that like leads me to believing that he was shuttled out of the country. If it wasn't for Bannon being the number one guy in Trump's admin when he died, I wouldn't believe it. But Bannon was Epstein's dude. And the thing about conspiracy nonsense is, I want to remind everybody, if anyone's like, quit with your conspiracy theories, QAnon was like largely right. The man we are talking about right now was like the shadow emperor of the Western world who worked with every intelligence agency, had blackmail on everyone, ran a secret pedophile ring, has accusations of blood sacrifice, introduced Palantir to Israel, was best friends with like every evil person around the world, was responsible for the artificial creation of the alt-right by creating Poll, most likely, it appears, was responsible for introducing Israel and Palantir, sorry, I already said that one, was responsible for pushing microtransactions into Activision. Like, dude, this is the guy. Like, it turns out conspiracy theories can just be fucking true if the incentive structure lines up. You think it's possible he had a dead man switch and he's alive, but you think his Fortnite evidence is a bit rocky, since you can imagine a lot of factors this could be the result of? I struggle to justify the gameplay. That's the big one for me. The biggest one there is it's really fucking weird if Mossad was playing Fortnite. Isn't that weird? The Activision one, there's an email where he's talking to the CEO of Activision being like, yeah, you should totally go for microtransactions. We should be indoctrinating children into capitalism. Like, that's real. The dead man switch makes a lot of sense. The complete files will only be released when he truly dies. I don't even think it's complete files. The dead man switch wouldn't be complete files because complete files are a lot to sort through and you can ignore. It would be like 50 really dedicated, damaging files. The dead man switch would be a really brutally hand-selected set of files. That's what that would be. The reason releasing all the files isn't syncing the Trump admin is they're able to show a big flood of evidence and then pinpoint the type of shit that would be in a dead man switch and blank out that. That's why we're getting black pages, because they can get rid of the shit that would be in a dead man switch. But yeah, dude, this was the Shadow Emperor. This was like the head of evil around the world. He was the CEO of villainy. I think conspiracism is slightly warranted, at least more so than normal. All right, guys, I think we got to call it. This was a fun late night yelling at people. My belief at the end of the day is that Jeffrey Epstein's alive, and I hate it. I don't know how you could prove that he's dead. It'd be pretty fucking hard. You could prove he's alive in a lot of ways, you know? Jeff could make a YouTube video going like, yo, what up? It's J-Dog. It's your boy, J-Man, Jeffy G. I guess it should be Jeffy E. Why did I say Jeffy G? It's Little Saint Jeff here, chiming in from Tel Aviv, here to spread the gospel. Late night? No, I mean, dude, time is relative. It's late night where I'm. It's 2:30 a.m. Yeah. Hey, Jeff, because I know you're watching this, I want you to know you're a fucking monster. You're an evil piece of shit. And you should come forwards and tell us all you're alive. And the reason is because at the very fucking least, if you can actually take down Donald Trump, there is a certain number of people that will remember you fondly along with hating you. And otherwise, you're just going to be like basically joining Hitler as a word that means evil. And I genuinely think like dismantling Trump is the only thing that could stop you from becoming, again, like Hitler, in that your name becomes a word that is an adjective for evil. So Jeffy, if you want to just like if you want to avoid that, just, take out the T-Man. All right, yeah. The people pushing it barely able to type themselves, so of course anything that resembles a spell checker above is having their mind blown. I mean, I don't know, man. Blech, blech. Let's hope I'm wrong and Jeff's dead, huh? People still talk positively. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a caveat on Hitler being evil, that he's the guy that killed Hitler. Jeffy boy, take the chance. Take down Donald, and you'll at least have one little redeeming thing. Because I'm going to be real, none of us think you killed yourself. So I'm never I think the other possibility is you got told to take your own life, but none of us actually believe you did it on your own. Like, only really trusting dumbass motherfuckers. And I hate to say that because I don't think Liam What's-His-Face, the news presenter who went to Ukraine, is dumb. I just think he's way too trusting of authority. The fact that he believes Jeffy Boy offed himself is wild to me.